You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Here we go, Friday edition. It's October 17th, maybe entering the biggest weekend in Toronto sports history in the last X amount of years.
30.
The Blue Jays in the ALCS. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, presented by Bet365. What's going on in Rome, buddy?
Who doggy? Suffering from the jet lag. I didn't know what was going on last night. I was watching the hockey game, then the Jays game, and then I went for a walk at like 2:30 in the morning. Thought I dozed off and then snapped to it like absolutely ready to roll. So I was all over the place. I tried everything to go to sleep, but got to check out a little bit of sports, obviously. Then got up groggy, went to the Coliseum, walked through the Roman Empire ruins, and then Trevi Fountain, gelato, lunch, all the rest of it. Unreal. Probably my first time I'm having a glass of Rouge on Leafs Morning Take. I think I've had maybe something like that on the After Dark show, but this is a first.
Yeah, I can confirm on After Dark, we all have had a couple bevies. But yeah, I was telling Rosie off air that because we do the show in the morning, it's even earlier in Alberta where Rosie is. We aren't privy to the alcoholic beverages. So a little spice to Jay Rosehill today, I think.
Yeah, it's rare. I have the breakfast beers going, which is probably a good thing. But when in Rome, I keep telling myself, buddy.
Dude, it's funny you say that because even this summer, like I've been to Europe quite a few times, and I always am under the impression that I get the jet lag on the way home. But it's so clear you get the jet lag when you go there. Because every time I go, I'm like, why haven't I slept in 36 hours? Why do I feel delirious? It's because of the jet lag. So I figured it out finally this summer.
It is, and then we took a quick subway to the Coliseum, and there's the big guy in the brightest Montreal Canadiens jerseys I think I've ever seen. If I wasn't so out of it, I was going to go mean mug him a little bit, but other than that, just the European flavor around here. But again, I was kind of glad I was jet lagged because I got to catch a couple of the successful Toronto games last night, which was awesome.
Tell you what, man, this city is buzzing. The Blue Jays specifically, what an inspiring story. And do you want to call it the Leafs Morning Take bump? The full Billy Chapel yesterday for Max Scherzer on the hill, 41, Game 4. And this is why you signed Max Scherzer for moments like that. He was awesome, brushing off his manager. That was great shit last night.
Ooh, baby, that was more than brushing him off. That was a get the hell out of my way type of thing. Unbelievable. But I don't know, when you're 41, 42 years old, you have his resume of made $300 million throwing a baseball. You can say those things to your manager, and it's a good thing he did. He closed that in dramatic fashion. Unbelievable. I don't know, for how much the wind was taken out of their sails in game 1 and 2 and just cold bats and couldn't get anything going, then to kind of explode like that was phenomenal. And, you know, the buzz is firmly back in Toronto. I'm sure of it. And exciting stuff. Why not get greedy and take 3 in Seattle too? Like, why not? It's such a funny game with the hot bats and the pitching and whatnot. That would be unbelievable to think last week that you're going to take 3 in Seattle, but a very possible thing. 1 game left, and who knows what's going to happen.
Always careful, but this reminds me a lot of that Raptors series against Milwaukee. If people recall, they went down 2 Cobb. And Kawhi's like, fuck this. We're going to go back there. We're going to win. We're going to keep winning. And they won 4 in a row to win the conference final. And I think momentum is so big in Major League Baseball. But I think it's very inspiring for other Toronto sports teams, like namely the Maple Leafs. It's the depth guys, Rosie. I know Vladimir Guerrero has been out of this world, but Andreas Jimenez is not known for his bat. He's got back-to-back games with 2 of the biggest bombs of the season. And I think the Maple Leafs, that's a big story in the playoffs, is like the tertiary guys in the bottom 6. Can they score that big goal? I think it's very inspiring.
Yeah, you wonder about that. Does it translate? I don't know. It's just nice to see some winning formula. To me, it's almost like, why can't the Leafs do that? You know, if the Jays or Raptors have success, but hopefully some of it rubs off. Obviously a little bit different seasons, but if the Leafs can get a little magic rub off from the Jays, if they do something special here, maybe they can carry it into the spring and see what they can do. But so far they've had some good tertiary scoring, and it's, I don't know, like pretty solid. Like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like this team could be very good. Obviously they're not perfect. Even Berube said last night, you know, there was some slop to it, but Same with game one. If you can play not your best hockey, not 60 minutes, and be a little bit sloppy here and there at the beginning of the year and still pull off wins in the NHL, I think you're doing something right, or at least there's a lot of potential to be a really good team.
Definitely trending in the right direction are the Maple Leafs, and so are the Blue Jays. Looking forward to Game 3 of the ALCS coming up tonight. Never like a Friday night, 6 Eastern time, Game 5 in Seattle. So that's a 3 local start time, but whatever. It'll be fun nevertheless. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. John Gallagher, thank you so much for the Super Chat. He says these Jays have had more big moments in 2 weeks than the core 4 in 10 years. Rosie, who was the most competitive player you played with or against?
Depends if you're talking ping pong or not. Bozak, Kessel, Phaneuf, those guys would play ping pong and just take over the entire locker room, like right in the center of the stalls, and it would get so intense, like they'd almost forget to put their gear on for practice. But they were damn good at it, so not a lot of people jumped in, and they'd go so hard, like broken paddles and everything, losing their minds. So pretty competitive dudes out there. Also been in a few practice fights myself. Lots of guys out there don't know how to turn it off, and I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. And I hope that the Leafs still have some of that in them, some jam, some pissed offness, some something to prove, chip on the shoulder, get pissed off easily. I love that stuff. It all translates to good hockey and being good teammates, if you ask me.
Funny you say that. We actually saw a bit of that gumption last night. They were finishing checks, and we saw Dakota Joshua initiate a scrum in the first period. Dude, I could not believe my eyes. They took Joshua, and they said, you go in the penalty box, and we're giving the Rangers a power play. Again, it's the dinosaur in me. It's been a tough 48 hours. So this dinosaur watching the NH, I could not believe my eyes, considering what I saw in the Jay Rosal era of hockey to now, where they're grabbing a guy for initiating a scrum and just getting some flavor involved in a hockey game. It was insane, man.
I know. I always want to talk to the referees and just be like, what's the purpose of that? Like, a guy goes into it. Like, how many scrums do we see where guys are all over? And again, I'm not saying they don't favor. I'm not saying they're against the Leafs or the officiating or anything, but you see all the time where guys are, our guys are getting face washed and stuff, and then our fans and our fan base are kind of like, do something about it. Obviously, you saw it with the Cowan play and the Nyes play, and that involved Austin Matthews not having much of a response. But everyone else can have a big response against us. It's no big deal. And then Dakota Joshua, who, let's be honest, hasn't really shown, what he brings to the table so far this year. And then there he goes out and tries to play with a chip on his shoulder, initiate a scrum, little face wash, and he parades to the penalty box. Like, that's only going to deter him from trying to play that way more, which is a bothersome, because he needs to play that way. I need to see some bigger hits and some grittiness and some attitude, and grab a guy by the scruff of the jersey and get in his ear. I want more of that, but it's going to deter him when he takes a 2-minute penalty just for like stepping into a scrum. I guess it was a little bit too aggressive of a face wash, but I always ask the refs, like, why do you do that? Like, if you need to, send a message or calm the game down, take 2 guys. But like, for all the ticky-tack shit that results in a 2-minute power play for one team or the other, like a little arm jab, face wash, little scrum is a 2-minute minor. It just bugs me, because a guy like that, like I said, needs to play more aggressive, and I think that those little BS calls are only going to make him dial it back, if anything.
Yeah, I guess Greg Knight in the chat's intimating he grabbed a guy by the visor. That's a no-no. That's what he's saying. I was not privy to that camera angle. I was in the building, but still, I mean, this is the NHL. Every time I hear the word roughing and a penalty, I'm like, is that not an oxymoron? This is hockey. It's supposed to be rough, right?
I know. It's so stupid, man. It drives me insane.
What a league, Rosie. What a league is the way I would respond to that.
I used to put Vaseline on the tips of my gloves, because you'd go to you can't really face wash right under the visor, so you'd just kind of rub the visor, and that Vaseline would not come off, and the guy for the rest of the period would be screwed trying to see through the damn thing. Little tricks like that were kind of fun.
Were you ever a tinfoil guy or what?
No, I've seen guys spray Tough Skin, like, how you put that spray on your ankle before you tape it, and it's just like an adhesive to like really be sticky. I've seen guys spray that on their knuckles so that when they punch, it grabs and like cuts guys' faces easier, which is pretty intense. I've seen Vaseline on the face so that those punches glance off and don't cut you. different stuff like that. But no, the tinfoil is reserved for the 70s, I think.
What a great era of hockey. Anyways, Keith Pelly caught up with Pierre LeBrun. Not shocked at what he had to say. Pretty much said it's go time. I think if you're reading between the lines there, he's open to whatever, his GM wants to do, but they're firmly in a win now window. So for anybody who thought the Leafs were thinking down the road because that guy's now in Vegas, think again. Pelly goes on to say, look at the age of our roster. With that in mind, I don't know what people expect from this Maple Leafs team prior to the deadline. They have no assets unless you want to trade an Easton Cowan or a Danford. And again, to that point, I think every year we make so much of the trade deadline. It is months and days and weeks away. We make so much of the deadline. Every year it seems to be those subtle, versatile pickups that put a team over the top. The guy I love to bring up is Arturi Lehkonen with Colorado. And then I think you look at this year's trade market, there's not really a guy out there firmly right now. But I start to wonder as we move forward, like a team like Calgary's had a tough start. Can they truly get in on like a Kadri? I'm not sure just yet.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I saw that too, and I'm just like, okay, like it's not really breaking news. If that general manager has something on the table that's going to make the team better, I didn't assume that Pelly would poo-poo it or anything. And and also like the shelves are empty with draft picks and prospects aside from Danford and Cowan, as you mentioned. But what if it's I don't know, what if it's a McMahon and a Domi or a Robertson and Yarncroke or one of our D-men? It's just hard to know. Like, I feel like if there was a, kind of a groundbreaking trade or announcement that was made prior to the deadline, it would be some of those names that haven't really been in the mix recently, or someone that was not shocking, but someone that no one really had on the trade block for most of the year. And again, I'm just like, that's just dangerous because, unless they're struggling going into the deadline and it's clearly not working and nobody's happy with the formula and the chemistry of the roster, then you have to mix it up to try to make yourself better. Okay. But if things are just status quo and you're cruising and you're building and you're trying to get better and you have your really good nights where you find it and it's clicking and you're like, that's the recipe, we got to just be able to access that more. I don't think making a big splashy trade at the deadline, I think that's more dangerous than anything. Then you're kind of like, well, shit, now we're under the gun to get this formula figured out before playoffs, and we all know how fast that goes by. So I don't know, I didn't put much into that, but I think it's just the fact that Pelly supports the general manager and says you're going to do what you need to do and you have my full trust is kind of what I took from it.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see what happens down the road, but I am with you on that front. I don't know what else he's going to say. I think he's in full support. I think everybody here realizes they're in win now mode. They have to be with the contracts ticking away the way they are with Matthews and Nylander, and Tavares not getting any younger. And none of these guys are. They're an older team. I mean, let's be honest about things. This is not the baby Maple Leafs anymore. Just looking at the chat, JL Movies writes in, they said on the broadcast the penalty was grabbing the visor since that's explicitly not allowed. So fair enough. I didn't see that. I was in the press box. I should bring my binoculars next time. Fabrizio writes in, Rosie, how is watching a Leafs game at 1 a.m. here in Italy? Let me know if you pass by Venice. Go Leafs, go.
I was just going to say, Fabrizio, when I woke up from my nap, I texted you back. He DM'd me, and I was like, oh, there's my Italian boy, and I'm in the same country, so I had to fire back to him. But thanks for watching, man. We appreciate that. I will not get to Venice this trip. We're going to go down through Siena in kind of the Tuscany countryside. Got a spot there, which is I've always had in my mind, like those rolling hills, that long laneway with those columnar trees and the big old country view. So we rented something like that for the kids, and we're going to pop into Siena for dinners and kind of that type of thing. So get out of the metropolis a little bit. So excited for that, but sorry, I won't make it my way. But if I did, I'll look you up and maybe crash the family on your couch or something.
I could say the nomad, Jay Rose. By the way, I watched Godfather Part 3 the other day. Remember I told you I was on the fence. They released a Coda version in 2020, way better, like 40 minutes shorter, and have a newfound appreciation for Godfather 3. Wasn't as good as the other two, obviously masterpieces, but newfound appreciation for Godfather 3.
Well, I forgot to ask you, you're Italian, like is that the old country, Sicily, or what's your background with your family?
Yeah, my parents are from Bari, which is like, I think an hour or 2 hours south of Rome. So like at the
Cool.
heel of the boot around there, like the Puglia area. I actually haven't been back
Nice.
to where they're from. I've only been to the major tourist traps like Rome, Venice, Florence, but you can't be in a bad spot in Italy.
I thought it was gonna be worse. I was like, I
Yeah.
was like, Han, to my wife, I'm like, I want to just kind of check off Rome to say we didn't get the hell out of there. But she's like, no, you need a decent chunk of
Yeah.
time. And we kind of stayed maybe a half a day more than I thought we were gonna. And I'm glad we do. Like, I'm not bothered by it at all. It's not too busy. It's a good vibe. I can get around easily. It's unbelievable weather. There's so much to see. It's just overwhelming. Like
Mhm.
in my hometown, there's a building that says like the Block Building 1934 or something. And I remember just being a kid going, oh my God, that's just so historic. And then you come around here and it's just 2,000 years old, 1,700 years old, 1,800 years old. It blows my mind. It's just overwhelming, but really good trip with the family so far, and your motherland as well. So I wanted to shout that out because I haven't mentioned that.
Yeah, the best decision I ever made, my dad made me do it, or not made me do it, but talked me into it, was start traveling at 21. And it's a whole different world in Europe, man. It puts hair on your chest, man. Like I've seen concentration camps. I've been to Serbia, like places of war. Like you really get an appreciation for life when you go out to Europe. Just to understand, like, it's not like how good we have it back home. You know what I mean? It puts some hair on the chest, I think.
It should be like what country is it where you have mandatory military training
Oh,
for a year or
Finland, I
two?
don't know. Yeah.
These rookies coming into the NHL should have mandatory 2-week trip to war-torn countries and maybe put some balls between their legs and show them how like things are actually hard. Maybe toughen them up. They can play with an edge, and then we don't have to shake our fist at the cloud as the old men anymore.
Put that in the next CBA. Mr. P-Mail Bacon writes in, my ex-wife is Italian, ruined Italy for me. Fair enough. All right, moving on here on Leafs Morning Take. Coming up in about 10 minutes from now from ESPN Sports Center in the States. Big Rangers fan. Covers the entire NHL as well. Linda Cohen's going to drop by, so looking forward to Linda dropping by the show at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. This segment is brought to you by Ninja Crispy and the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand, so you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
I wonder if they have Ninja Crispies in Italy. Highly, highly, highly unlikely. You have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. As mentioned there, just prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it, all in one container. This glass air fryer is PFSA free, thus no harmful chemical while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and a larger 4-quart Tupperware container. Whether you're whipping up quick single-serve meals in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. So, Rosie, just as we prognosticated a goalie duel, it was retro night at Scotiabank Arena. Anthony Stolarz, this guy is an absolute stud. Legendary, and goes toe-to-toe with Igor Shesterkin through like 4 or 5 outings. He has a 1 goals against. He outdueled Shesterkin yesterday.
I know we predicted it would be a low-scoring affair. I think we both took the under and thought it would be a goalie duo or battle. It absolutely was. I'm just waiting for like, I don't know, anything nice that the Leafs have. Everyone poo-poos it or there's something wrong with it. Like I'm just waiting for everyone else to just start to notice Anthony Stolarz. It's been a year and now starting his second in Toronto. Obviously has that extension, but when is the rest of the league going to start to notice? It's unbelievable how consistent he is and how good he is consistently. I mean, look at that stuff and that one cross crease backdoor glove save as he's everywhere. I always say that about goalies when they're good. I'm like, he's just everywhere. You think finally like they found the seam and they made the play, and it's just standard. You're going to get beat by plays like X, Y, and Z, and Stoli just finds a way to be there. And it's not even like he's scrambling like Dominik Hasek. He's just there. And for his size to be able to move like that and see the puck and know his angles and read the plays, I really can't wait for the rest of the league to recognize and take notice to what this guy's doing. Because I was a little bit hesitant, like, okay, year 2, sophomore slump. No, he's just absolutely picked up where he left off, on fire. I think the only thing that can stop this guy is not being healthy, and there's no reason to think that he can't stay healthy. I think that Leafs fans should be so thankful we have this guy.
Dude, this was an incredible find. Like, I still recall when we broke down the Stolar signing, I'm like, I mean, they could have had Laurent Brossoit, and he has not played a single game with Chicago, so I'm so thankful they went this route and the analytics checked out, but never could have dreamed of this type of goaltending in the last, 10 years. Like, he has been incredible. Last year was the game where he made the save without the glove. This year, he makes a save without a helmet on. I wasn't even aware of this rule. It's funny. I was in the scrums after the game, and none of the players were aware of the rule. That I guess it's up to the discretion of the official. If there's an imminent scoring threat, they keep playing. I mean, this is as old school as it gets, Rosie.
Like, watch this. And Clapper! Are you kidding me? Like, and so, like, I understand the rule. Like, I think at some point in time in the past, there's been, a scrum and everyone's digging for the puck and it's a loose puck and the goalie's sprawled out off to the right side of the net. And then it, leaks off his pad over to the left side of the net and some guy grabs it and bangs it in. And the ref's sitting behind the net going, I'm not blowing this down. I know his mask just came off when he's down scrambling over there, but I'm not going to scramble because there's an imminent scoring chance. Boom, bang it in that empty net. Makes sense, right? As opposed to if the helmet ever comes off, then if there's ever a big melee in front of the net, a goalie could just pop his mask off and it's going to be blown down. So I get the rule. But when his mask is off and they're centering the puck to the slot and clapping it on like he's friggin', it's like Terry Sawchuk just getting clappers off your face. It's insane. I don't know how. I get why there's a rule that you don't blow it down instantly, is my point. But I think that, like, if the goalie's not, the rule should be stated somehow, like, if the goalie's not in imminent danger, then you don't blow it down. But when his mask is off and he's getting ready to square himself to the puck and they're centering it to the slot and the guy's walking onto one, like, you have to blow that down. It's kind of crazy. And I don't know. It's always funny with rules, same as any other sport. Like, there has to be, incidents and things happen to make people take notice. And I don't know if that's enough for the league to do anything about it. But again, I love how they don't just blow it down instantly. It can be at the discretion of the ref, but things happen fast. And I mean, that clapper, lucky it went off his pad, but can you imagine he ate that thing like off his mouth or his eye or his anywhere? Like, it's just not cool anymore, but looks pretty badass, to be honest, the way he kicked one off of his mask on. I'd like to see a cool still of that, as I'm sure he'd blow it up and put it somewhere.
I won't name names, but there are select goaltenders in the league that would have ran away into the corner and said, I'm not doing this. Like, there wasn't even like a motion to the official, which I respect the fuck out of Stoli just for that. He just kept playing, which is insane.
Yeah, I don't know, Johnny T or someone I saw behind the net was putting their arm up like, come on, like he doesn't have a mask on, and they just laser one from the low slot too. But pretty cool. And again, Stoli in there battling, kicking. Not one of the guys that's just going to go into the corner, because then it's a controversy. They probably bury that, but the goalie wasn't even there. They got to get together and make some call. It's going to be controversial one way or the other. I love how he just stands in there and kicks one more out and pads the stats a little bit with no mask. Pretty awesome.
So dialed, 28 saves. I thought Stolarz was obviously one of the big differences in the game last night, going toe-to-toe with one of the best on the planet, period, and Igor Shesterkin. And I thought Nylander is getting stronger and stronger as the games go by here. Had plenty of twirls as well with the top line. They found a way to insulate, I should say, Easton Cowan a bit there in the third period. But that was a hell of a pass to Matthews in the 2-on-1 in OT. And this is a welcome sight. The big boys starting to produce a bit. I was told that they were going to struggle to score and find offense this year.
Yeah, you always like it when, maybe it was just, some people say Willie still looks lazy out there, man. He's never going to be like a workhorse, like work your balls off for every inch of the ice. But as long as he's not like visibly dogging it, whatever Willie wants to do, Willie can kind of do, right? I was hard on him earlier this week for the Detroit games. Like, you look disinterested and above trying hard. So don't be that guy, Willie. And we all know what we're talking about, where it's kind of like a clip that's like everyone's groaning about because it looks so bad visually. But aside from that, like, Willie's just awesome. And he was, like you said, he had so many dishes the other night. Sometimes he's shooting and sometimes he's dishing. And, some people are kind of, up in arms about taking Cowan, lowering his minutes a little bit to kind of play Willie and Pappy together a little bit. Whatever. The proof's in the pudding there, man. If they can get some chemistry going, I'm not a big proponent of them playing on the same line permanently, but I love that when you need something, you can chuck them together and you can find some magic, because oftentimes you need that late in the game or in the playoffs, or when you hit a rut or are skating in sand and things aren't going, you can throw something together and see if you can just create a little bit of magic. And I don't think Chiefs against doing that is it's kind of been a pattern, but just nice to see him get on the board and create lots of chances with his skill, right?
Yep, and producer Vic, you can put that goal back on the board of Pappy winning it in OT. I just want Rosie to break down the back check for one Artemi Panarin, who's in a contract here. I don't know if you caught this. I didn't catch this initially, but this is quite the expensive back check.
Vic's scrambling right now.
Sorry, Vicky.
Nick, are you kidding me right now?
I threw him for a loop. I'm like, I need that Panarin back check, please. But I'm sure we'll get the video at some point in time here of the back check on the goal.
He's
but
just Homer Simpsoning a bucket of water on his keyboard right now, trying to get that clip back.
I could see Vic on his patio right now hacking a dart. I really could.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well, this thing will run itself.
I'm working on it.
No, I didn't. I thought I saw Panarin kind of take off on the back check,
glided.
But that was like the initial, because he was kind of going to the back door with the Rangers possession. I thought he took off on a back check, but did he start to dog it there? It's always funny when they think, the play is going to be made, and then the rebound is kicked out to a third man high. And if you had just back checked through the neutral zone, you would have been there. I always love that. It's like, like the Don Cherry back check all the way to the crease, kids, and stop in front of the net, because some of those skill guys like to think, fuck it, I'm gonna save my energy here. This play is too far from me, and then it ends up coming to where he 100% should have been. So if Vic could tee that thing up, we would see that. But I guess our fans are just gonna suffer today.
No, he's working on it. I think the Rangers, watching that team, they remind me a lot of the Maple Leafs this time last year. They got a new coach, learning a new system, struggling offensively. I actually think they're way better than they're showing early on. And it's funny, everybody was, here's the goal, but everybody was celebrating when the Rangers actually scored a goal last night.
So he's going there. Shit, I've seen a lot worse back checks from a lot of different players on a lot of different teams, but that 3-on-3 is so good. I mean, people were wondering about it when they went to it, but I'm as excited for the 3-on-3 as anything. It's just the back and the fourths, and how much do you want to bite off and cheat on offense to try to end the game right now? And if it doesn't come to fruition, you're basically guaranteed an odd man rush the other way. It's super exciting, and you end up seeing high-end players like that make high-end plays like that one right there. Regardless of the back check, it's good stuff. I love the 3-on-3.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Both Leafs goals last night were just tap-ins from Nylander. Like, nobody could miss that. Not even me on a pond in Alberta. Like, it was beautiful stuff, man. I was really, really impressed by 88 yesterday. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, crave the stats, a presentation of Uber Eats, and so is this interview. Every time the Leafs play at home, you can get these exclusive deals only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, BOGO Brisket Hat Trick, Kibo Sushi, one of my personal favorites, BOGO California Roll, and Shelby Shawarma, BOGO Traditional Wrap. That's right, buy one, get one. Talk about an unreal deal. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long as we bring in today's guests from ESPN SportsCenter, the one and only Linda Cohn. What's going on, Linda? How are you?
Hey, thank you both for having me. I'm honored to be on this successful podcast on YouTube. Honored.
You're
Especially
the best,
after
Linda.
I'm telling you, and like you guys talking about last night's game, obviously I was locked in. The Rangers actually played a great game. Like Stolarz, I was going to use the analogy, stood on his head, but then without a mask, the guy was amazing when he stopped JT Miller without a mask. And I don't know, there was so much to that game that to be impressed with. And, it just shows how deep and great the Leafs are, because they didn't have to play a complete game. They just sort of like, here's an opportunity. Let's score on it. And Shesterkin can't get this one. And they did. And they won. And they got 2 points.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. It's not very often as a Rangers fan that you watch a game and the other goalie kind of out-duels Shesterkin, as he's one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
But Anthony Stolarz has emerged as one of the best in the game. I keep waiting for everyone else to take notice.
Yeah, we've seen his progression, and I think I know he got the new deal, I'm pretty sure, but I think he was underpaid. But I think he's just glad he's found a home, right? Plus, he's such a big goalie, in stature, in size, literally, right? 6'5", 2, whatever. Um, and the Rangers couldn't figure out how to beat the guy. But I think when you have a guy like Shesterkin on the other end, being a former goalie that I am back in the day, you get fired up to play against the best. And it sort of inspires you and challenges you to try to go next level. In addition to having that inner fire to get the 2 points for your team. But you could not beat this guy. You can't beat him low because it's so big. And I just was really, who wasn't impressed? I mean, the Rangers should have had about 4 goals last night and came away with a win. And they really poured it on in that third period. The Rangers did. And I really did think they were, once they tied it up, that they were going to find a way to win. But Stolarz kept his team in it. And that's what great goalies do. And right now he's off to a great start.
Shout out SUNY Oswego, by the way, where you played. But I wanted to ask you about the crease, specifically in the States. Like it's pretty incredible. And maybe I'm biased because obviously we cover Anthony on a daily basis, an absolute stud, playing excellent. But he's probably like number 5 or 6 in the depth chart in the States, right?
In the States, they can't pick him out of a lineup. They're like, who? But the real hockey fans in the States, they don't see him as going into this season. I don't think they would have rated him a top 10 goalie. Who would? But I just love, especially a guy that's been around the block a few times like he has, and his journey hasn't been, laced with gold or diamonds. He's had to work for every opportunity he's gotten, and he's never given up. And yeah, being a former goalie, even if you play the game in other positions, or even you played positions in other sports, you just have to admire that. You just see it as a challenge. I just heard a great soundbite from Joe Flacco from last night's amazing win over Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. And I don't know if you guys caught that, but I mean, the guy's 41 years old, and I know Aaron's no spring chicken, but Joe, it's the second game as a member of the Cincinnati Bengals. Browns traded him within the division because they're going nowhere. And he just made magic and led them to a victory in their last drive, and it was no big deal. But he spoke about post game that anyone who follows any sport can relate to, especially a guy like that. When he was asked a really good question about how have you processed all this? In 10 days, you've had 2 starts for this new team and this amazing win that you had over the, division leading Pittsburgh Steelers. And he's like, you know what? I just never let myself think of negatives. I looked at it as a challenge. I'm a football player, and that's what I do. And so I always want to bring out the best in me, whatever my situation is, because it's not like other situations. And that's how I bring it back to Anthony Stolarz, because he looked at this, he really shined in the last season, which led to, him being the number 1 here in Toronto. And it's just great to see you root for guys like this.
For sure, and it's not unlike Max Scherzer, the Blue Jays, last night
Yes,
putting on a
great
performance at his
example.
age. You
Yes. Oh my
find
God.
yourself in
I'm
the
so
flow
glad
state.
you
It's
brought him
unbelievable.
up. Can we talk about Mad Max? I am so glad when you see the younger generation, the Paul Screwballs of Detroit, who are like, oh, take me out after 6 innings because I got to sign a big $200 million deal next year, and I don't want to get hurt. And Mad Max is like, you're not, freaking taking me out. No way. And he ends up getting the win, and people had him on the tossed aside, right? You guys know this, they're like, he's not going to be a factor. And what does he do? He just is the future Hall of Famer that we love, and we just love that guts. But great job bringing that up, Mad Max. Love it.
It is. It was pretty awesome, and to bring it back to the Rangers, not to go in a different
Yeah.
direction, but they're making almost history for the start that they've had, which is just impossible to find the offense. Is that worrisome, do you think, in New York? And I know you follow the Rangers pretty closely, or is it just
Yeah.
a one-off where that levee's going to break sooner than later?
Yeah, I'm not panicking. I call it a temporary inconvenience. I'll tell you, if they fell flat, if they looked like crap against Toronto last night, I'd start a little like worry, because then it would be on the road where, you know, they're not home. They weren't at home, so we all know the issues at home. The three straight shutout losses at home, we get that, and we get this was in Toronto. But if I saw that they weren't playing well or playing with effort and fire, then I would worry. But this is just just a pothole. It's a big pothole because you don't want to fall too far behind. But I'm not worried. I think they have enough skill. I gotta be honest though. I thought in the offseason Chris Drury would make some kind of move to, strengthen the offense and get a little deeper for people that can put the puck in the net. Artemi Panarin, he's done everything and more, I feel, because, when he came to the Rangers, there were still a lot of people that thought he wasn't a number one guy that can carry a team. They thought he was like a number two, meaning, he needed a sidekick, right? You cast aside Chris Kreider, who's doing love and life in SoCal and Anaheim, and he's kicking butt, and you lose a goal scorer. You lose a guy that put the puck in the net on power plays. I mean, we all know what he does. He was the expert of the tap in and the deflection, that you're familiar with Nylander. And so I was surprised the GM, Chris Drury, did not, I don't know, do enough. And so we'll have to see how this goes. But I don't think you can't panic, right, until American Thanksgiving, right? Then if the
Right.
Rangers have trouble putting the puck in the net. But I like what I saw in Toronto last night, even though they only ended up with a point.
Yeah, before you came on, I was actually talking about it. Reminded me a lot of the Maple Leafs team last year, where I think they're getting used to a new
Mm,
system, a new coach. And to your point,
yeah,
I don't think much was done to begin with in the offseason. It was a weird offseason. I think people were looking ahead to next
yes.
summer as well. Want to mention as well, you're in a steam company because both you and Max Scherzer have been on Leafs Morning Take now. So there's that. But Austin Matthews spinning it to the American styles too. He is
Yeah,
he seems to be back a bit. 4 goals in 5 games. He's snapping it a bit better with his
yeah.
shot. There seems to be nothing about going to Germany anytime soon, which is good.
Yeah, well, you're going to need him healthy. We all know that. It's obvious. He is a target. I love what I saw out of him, and you got to give. I want to talk Toronto, but you got to give the Rangers credit because their last two games was against Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, and until that overtime when Zibanejad fanned on that shot, else that never would have happened. That 3-on-1. Um, the Rangers defensive core, the way they're playing defensively, really they contained Connor McDavid, who only got an assist on their extra point when their empty net goal when they beat the Rangers in Madison Square Garden, and then they basically contained Austin Matthews until the very end. But I root for Austin Matthews. I think he's amazing. He's a good human. He's always been great to me when I've interviewed him. He's just he's just a different. This is the thing everyone has to remember, especially the fans, right? And I'm a fan first. Nick, you know that. I always say that, and that's what I am. Every player, every superstar player has a different personality. You can't put them in a box and put a label on them and say, if he doesn't act like this or say this after a game, after a win, after a loss, something's not right. That's you can't do that. You want your personality, your superstar to be himself at all times. It is such a, I don't have to tell you guys what a pressure cooker it is to play and be the superstar in Toronto and be having to perform all the time. You have to perform in your sleep with those Leaf fans. I mean, and I know I can say that because I grew up in New York and the Rangers have similar pressure, but not as much as Toronto because there are other sports that fans in New York care about. So I love what I see in Austin Matthews, and just stay healthy, Austin, and be fresh for the postseason. Don't kill yourself during the regular season. I'm a big proponent of I don't care what you really do in the regular season, just get your team in the postseason, and then I want to see your best in the postseason, which, as Leaf fans know, we're still waiting for.
I like that mentality, and that's exactly where I wanted to go next. What's your view on Craig Berube's Maple Leafs and this team specifically? Can they get over that hump in the playoffs, Linda?
I think they can because we have to look back at the history of Craig Berube and St. Louis, and they didn't get going until after January. I know it's a different team, different makeup, different culture, the whole 9 yards. But Craig Berube, believes in my philosophy about the postseason and playing your best at that time. And I think, it's not his first rodeo. And I think he'll know now that he's really been around this team a little bit more and had a full training camp with his team, that what it's going to take with these guys. Could they add a piece or two? Perhaps as the season goes along. It's too early, small sample size, but I want to see where we're going with this. And if Stolars can keep playing like this, but he's not a spring chicken, and I'd still look to even deepen the goaltending even more. You just have to be a little reactive here, because this is a very important year coming up for the superstars, and playing without Mitch Marner, who's enjoying, life in Vegas. And it's the reason why I picked Vegas to win the cup this year, because of Mitch
Oh,
Marner. I
did
did. I
you?
wanted to go with Colorado. I really wanted. I was this close to going Abs, because I love Makar and McKinnon so much. But I don't know. I like Jack Eichel, and that Mitch Marner. Yeah, he has so much less pressure on him in Vegas.
You,
I just think he'll
you
play
like
more
his
freely.
you like his figure skating in warm-ups and the happy faces on his gloves and
Yeah,
all the stuff we're sick of,
that's
Linda.
That's it. That's a perfect example. Come on, he can live free. He can do what he wants and
Okay.
still be Mitch Marner.
You live
You
free,
know?
Mitchie. Well, you talked about the West a little bit. The East has been dominated by the Florida Panthers the last 3 years. Do you have any predictions about the East? Is it going to be status quo with the Panthers kind of being the big dogs, or do you see any change in the East?
Yeah. I picked Carolina to win the Metro, because that's a given. And they're off to this amazing start. And you can't knock Rod Brindamore. You can knock him in the postseason, but I want to. I'd like to, because they failed in the postseason, but it's not his fault. Um, so far I'm wrong about Tampa. I really thought the Lightning, I really believed in the Lightning this year. I hope in, a month we're not talking about John Cooper being moved upstairs or something or whatever, just to wake up this bunch. I not, as we know in the National Hockey League, anything can happen. And he's the longest running head coach in the league, as we all know, behind that Lightning bench. But the Freddie Anderson, the goaltending, there's always talk about Carolina not happy with the goaltending in the postseason. So that's another thing that I'm following to see if they, improve in that department. But the guys on that team, the moves they made, so far so good. So I don't think Washington is going to have the season they had last year. There was just so much going on with Ovechkin. But I think it's like Carolina, and I still believe in Tampa, but they're giving up so many goals. I don't know what's going on there. They got to clean that up, but they better bring in the high-powered vacuum quick in the Lightning, because they're gonna. But they're just so talented. They're just so many great players, and the Panthers. These injuries, all they have to do is get in the postseason, and they'll have a fresh Barkov, hopefully, and a fresh. Barkov could be a tough one, because he's out longer, much longer, but they'll get Matthew Tkachuk back maybe by Christmas. So we'll see. I don't think Florida Panthers fans should panic at all.
Yeah, it seems like the entire division is just pacing themselves, Leafs included, Tampa included, the Florida Panthers, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Shout out to Babs as well. Your dog was the MVP of this interview, just
Yes.
laying beside you, chilling out, eh?
Thanks for noticing, Bab. She knows she's used to this. She's the
Thought that was a
best.
pillow.
It's no. Well, you know what? If you guys were here and you would pet Babs, you would say that is the softest dog in the world. That's what I get from people who stop us on the street and, can I pet your dog? But put Babs around another dog, it won't go well. I'm the dog owner, the walker that I have to have eyes behind
Yeah.
back of my head. I gotta cross the street if I see another dog coming, and she'll fool me. She'll have her tail wagging. Oh, mom, I like that dog, and then brr, it's crazy stuff. Anyway, thank you for shouting out, Bab. She's a good girl.
You're the best, Linda. Really appreciate your time today. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, anytime. Continued success. Love being on
Thank
with you
you as
too.
well.
Thanks. Same to you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
There's the great Linda Cohen from ESPN Sports Center in the States, an absolute gem. I had a chance to work with Linda a couple years ago during the pandemic. Actually, we did a show on NHL Network Radio, Coast to Coast. It was a fun experience. We had John Cooper on, we had Gretzky on. Like, it was just a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, she's a cool lady. She started stroking Mitch Marner there, and I was almost like, listen, Linda. But other than that, great guess.
Yeah, no, that was fun. So appreciate Linda jumping on here at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We also looking ahead to Saturday night's game. You know, it's funny. I want to intertwine as well the underrated sentiment. You can say that about Joey Daccord, the number one for the Seattle Kraken. It was Philip Grubauer who played last night in the shootout loss, I believe, to the Ottawa Senators. But I think we're going to get Daccord against Stolars, which I expect another really strong goaltending matchup, not to mention Lane Lambert. Remember him? 1 year as associate coach here with the Maple Leafs, going to make his return to Toronto this weekend too.
Yeah, that's a little revenge angle, I suppose. And I don't know, Daccord, like, are you serious? I don't know, Stoli. You know, Linda kind of mentioned, like, who had him in the top 10? Like, that is the sentiment. It's like, oh, his fucking save percentage over the last, XYZ. How far do you want to go back within the year? And then the year before, it's just he hasn't had the opportunity. You're backing up John Gibson and Sergei Bobrovsky. Like, sorry, you're only going to get so much opportunity. Everyone knocks him, saying, oh, we just hired a backup. We just signed a backup to be the starter in Toronto. Well, is that his fault? Like, someone has to back, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy that the second he gets the bridle taken off of him and it's like, go run free and be whatever you need to be, there's no one in front of you stopping you. He just is bananas. And yeah, I expect another big one from him. My only worry is, like, the games just come flying one after another, after another, after another. And it's just Stoli. It seems like. I'm like, holy shit, how long can we ride this horse? I don't know. I probably just have like PTSD from some of the injuries our goalies have had in the last little bit, but maybe it's a good thing for him to just come out as the number one starter and it's his crease. And who knows what the future holds for the goaltending tandem in Toronto, whether Woll will be back anytime soon or not. It just seems like this is maybe, I guess, an opportunity for Stoli just to be like, I'm the guy, I'm the man, I'm the number one, and it's not even debatable anymore. And so far, he's off to that exact race.
And again, I think the important thing to bring up, especially in this market, is his demeanor. I think he is fit for the bill to be a goaltender in Toronto. Just seems like nothing phases him. And I just love his confidence. He's very direct, which is kind of intriguing because that's what the head coach preaches. And he uses size effectively. But this has been such an incredible story the last couple of years. And he gets his contract. And Linda brought it up too, like the value on that deal. Like it's been nothing but positive vibes for Anthony Stolars in Toronto, and here's to that continuing. In support of Sick Kids, Angry Dalai Lama writes in, appreciate this super chat, by the way. Can you explain the love for Tampa? I don't get it. It's pretty simple. They got maybe one of the best goaltenders of all time, Vasilevsky. You got Victor Hedman, an all-world defenseman. You got Kucherov, an all-world. Like, you can keep going with the resume and the track record. And then you have John Cooper. That's why people love that team.
I was going to say Cooper's very likable, and Steve Yzerman was at the helm during a lot of it. It's funny to say their history, but, the cups they've won, and you can go back to 2004 with, Dave Anderchuk and Marty St. Louis, Vinny LeCavalier, Brad Richards, some just pretty good named dudes. And they are a class organization, not to stroke them too much, but John Cooper is salt of the world type of guy. We've had him on, and he's, again, one of those guys I don't think anyone's ever said a bad word about. So they're easy to like. I can see why people like them, and I think they went about their business in a pretty good way. It's not like they're really hateable like the Florida Panthers would be easy to hate on those guys. But yeah, pretty class organization. But I think they're off to kind of a shit start, aren't they? They're not even really in my mind so far.
Yeah, it's been an up and down start for them. They got Detroit, who's red hot. John Gibson's going to start that game tonight. I fully expect Tampa to get cooking big time. And important to stress, too, Vasilevsky and Kucherov specifically just called it a training camp. They're like, no thanks. We'll just wait till the regular season. Forgot to mention to you as well, is that the game the other night on Thanksgiving? And I almost Rule 48'd Stevie Y coming out of the washroom in the press box. Remember Rule 48, just blindside hit? There's like the washroom door there at Scotiabank in the press box, man. You're always like one step away from just jumping somebody. And so I'm leaving the washroom, and who opens the door? It's Stevie Y, and I double tuck. The politest person ever. It was like one of those Canadian standoffs. Like, you go, no, you go. It lasted like 5 seconds, but I thought I'd bring that up because I almost ended Stevie Y, unfortunately.
That's kind of awesome. It was in that press box. I did not come out of the bathroom, but I was coming out. I was probably going to refill my popcorn or Smarties or whatever I was mucking while I'm healthy scratched in the presser, and just about bowled over Grapes, Don Cherry, and I had a big shiner under my eye, and he goes, "Hey, there you go. Look at that guy. All right, way to go. Look at that guy. Way to go." And I was like, "Oh my God, I don't even know what to say to you right now." But that was my brush with Grapes.
You expect Stevie Lorentz to get in the lineup? I know I got a message here from practice. Let me pull it up here. Austin Matthews skated prior to today's practice, but will not participate in the formal session. Steven Lorentz expected to be a full participant. So that's from Arun over at theleafsnation.com.
Guys just taking optionals, the second and third week in October is wild. Like, man, they used to bag skate guys like into the ground. They used to tell you to get back out there after you're full on conkied. It's crazy how they used to, coaches used to scream in your face and berate you and drive you down and rip you apart as a way to like challenge you and have you play with a chip on your shoulder. It's crazy. And now it's just like, you don't have to go out there for morning skate. You don't have to go out there for practice, sweetheart. You do whatever you want. And I'm not like chirping it against it. These guys know what they want and what they need. And I'm not of the old school where screaming in a guy's face is going to get the most out of them. But it's just funny how it's changed so much. And I don't know what to make of these phantom disappearances from practice and pregame skate and whatnot. But as a guy that's on this side of the boards, I think as long as you're doing what you need to do to get ready to play and to be healthy and to take care of your body for the long haul, whatever. If Stevie Lorentz is in, you would think that Robertson's got to come out and they kind of shuffle the lines. Hey, I know that some guys don't like to mess with the lineup after some wins, but I think that he's a guy that you slot in there and he certainly he's not a detriment to the lineup by any stretch in a way. So from what I've seen from Nick Robertson, wouldn't be surprised if they swapped.
Yeah, Stevie Lorentz was a health bomb yesterday, so maybe we look at that potential lineup change. And we were firmly entrenched doing this show, but for the record, it is completely understandable to freak out about Austin Matthews not being at practice. I'll just put that out there because of the prior history, right?
Oh, 100%. But there was a caveat after it, like he's good, he just wasn't, or is that still
maintenance bullshit? I don't know what the hell goes on behind the scenes, man.
I know, me neither. And again, it just that's why I don't make too much of it, because unless they tell me he's injured, I'm not going to read into it. And I think that because of the prior history of injuries or whatever, you're more likely to have him be like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to get anything out of having a loop and shoot practice here today. So maybe I'll go out there in the morning and just try to loosen some stuff off and see what's firing and what's not, and then get off and get on the training table and start to do some maintenance. I could see that happening with a guy like him who, let's be honest, is he getting better by going out there and practicing? No, I am old school where it's like, don't miss unless you have to. But for a guy like him, his generation and his prior history with injuries, do whatever the hell you need to do to feel your best, Austin.
Mr. P. Mel Bacon writing in, aren't the Olympics in Italy this year, or am I a pothead? You are a pothead probably, but the Olympics are in Milan Cortina, so you are correct in that front. Shane writes in, Rosie, what was your best year with goals before NHL, any level?
Well, I was a defenseman before that. It was probably going back to like Bantam AA, where I was just lighting shit up back and forth from D to forwards. Got to go back to when I'm 14. I think I had some success on the Marlies there when Dallas Eakins was the coach. I have no idea what I put up. I know one year I had 275 PIMs, 35 fights, I think, that year, but those are the only numbers I know from a 13-year career.
275 PIMs? What the fuck did you do?
Just dusted a lot of dusts, a lot of gonging it up at the end of the game, and I think they counted
275. Like that is a high number, man. How many games?
wasn't even that many, 60 some, maybe 60 some. But I remember getting to Toronto. I got traded to Toronto that year. So it's split on my DB too, which kind of sucks. It's like 235 and then whatever.
Yeah.
I wish it was a nice 275, but I got there and Mike Van Ryan, who's a coach still with the Maple Leafs, he was on the training table. His knee was destroyed. And I was just kind of tiptoeing around like I didn't know anyone. He goes, Rosie, get over here. And he goes, 275. What have you been doing in the American League? And I was just like, what's 275? He's like, you're Pims. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't pay attention to much. But yeah, numbers weren't my thing. It was just effort and showing up with your best.
I love that. Yeah, just pulling up the stats right now. Lehigh Valley, 14-15, 219 penalty minutes. You were -15 that season too.
Yeah, we weren't very good. Stoley was in that. He was learning the ropes.
219, like 219.
That's not crazy, is it?
It's pretty good, man. Pretty good. That'll live in.
I didn't even fight or get a 10 in college when I was at UMD. I led the country in penalty minutes, I think, with like 104, and they were all 2-minute charging, boarding, roughing, like 2 minutes at a time,
103,
just rattling them off. UMD
103 and 34. We got to talk about your time in the AJ, the Olds Grizzlies. Holy 204 penalty minutes in 49 games. You had 4 goals and 1 assist.
Like, how does no one bury another appetizer when I would wheel the net and no one can finish? It's unreal. But yeah, again, I don't even know. I don't even know what you're gonna say because I literally never looked at my points, didn't care, and still haven't really looked. I know when you look, they're not very impressive, but I think that's why they're so low. Is I did not care. Not like I wasn't trying, but like I would look for hits. Like guys on my team would come up to me and say, "You know, there's a puck out there, right?" Because I would just search for the biggest hit I could possibly find. Like that was my dream, was to have the biggest open ice hit where the guy just does cartwheels and then guys come after me and I unload my shit and fight and just beat everybody up and just everyone's going bananas. Like that was my dream. I did not even consider scoring the big goal. I was such a fucking meathead.
So you never scored at Minnesota Duluth, which is okay. Still awesome. Olds, your second year in Olds, you had 4 goals. That was your magic number. We always talk about 5.5 was your career number in the NHL. 1 was called back. But 4 goals, 12 assists, year 2 with Olds. You had 172 PIMs. But the year you're talking about specifically with Norfolk, you had 221 penalty minutes in 57 games. And 13 games with the Marlies, you had 54 penalty minutes. But good stuff. Okay.
I think that adds up to 275. Yeah, I don't know. My kids,
like
I try to keep my kids away from DB. They just kind of, they venture around. They're like, were you kind of a duster? And I was just like, you got me there.
You know what you do? You pull up the first NHL goal against the legend Marc-Andre Fleury, and they just amnesia about everything else, I think.
That happened the other day, actually. My oldest was asking me about it. I'm like, yeah, I told you that. I said Marc-Andre Fleury. I was like, you've seen that. He's like, no, I haven't. But I was probably shoving it down his face when he's like 3 years old on YouTube, right? So he doesn't remember. And a couple of weeks ago, I showed him, and he's like, Marc-Andre Fleury, not bad. Maybe you're not that big of a duster, Dad. I said, thank you, son. Let me know how many you get.
Love that. No, very good rebuttal on your behalf, too. And support of Sick Kids, Angry Dalai Lama. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thoughts on Domi so far? Only 2 penalty minutes, 76 last year. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe I don't have the pulse on Leafs Nation. I've actually liked Max Domi's game. I like that he's like shot first this year. I know there's always room to grow, but it hasn't been the prototypical difficult start for Max Domi. I thought it was big that he scored early on in the season, and I don't think he's been terrible.
Yeah, not terrible. I think the ceiling's higher. I feel like Domi could be one of those guys where he's at his best when he's just like frothing at the mouth. And I don't mean like full moron mode, but like is just like the sweaty, like a bit of Darcy Tucker, right? You know, when that guy, like just every strand of hair is dripping sweat and he's just like looking for more. And it doesn't mean it doesn't matter if that's like forechecking the hell out of it or finishing a guy or getting in a guy's face or burying the goal or setting up this great play, like whatever, but just like, he's just glowing out there with energy. And I think that that's where he'd be at his best. And I think he can do that. I wouldn't ask that of any player. Certain guys can have that type of energy where they're just buzzing in all different ways. And I think that he can be that guy. And I think that the team needs that guy and is missing that so far. So I always, whenever we talk about Domi, I always think his ceiling is higher. And I don't know sometimes if he just wants to be, pure skill, but I think that he could be just this well-rounded ball of energy that does everything that you notice all the time. I think he can be that guy. And I guess that's just my expectations of him, which might not be fair, but it's because I like him. And I think that his potential is to be that guy and be very effective on this hockey club.
It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. So I'm going to play the Lightning in regulation against Detroit, and the Blue Jays money line. They're the I guess slight dogs in this game against the Mariners in Game 5 as per the betting market, but minus 115. I'm going to go with the Jays and Kevin Gausman.
The Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Exciting game, man. If they get this one, it'll be absolutely out of control, but I'm going to go with momentum and think that they are going to ride that momentum. I'm taking them on the run line, which is plus 160. I think if they win this game, they're going to win by multiple runs, and it's because their bats just can't stop. So if you're going to take the Jays, I think you take them on the run line at that really good value, my friend.
Man, I was going to take a sniff at this parlay yesterday. I told you in the group chat, but it was like a Poppy goal, a Leafs win, Vladdy Guerrero bomb, and a Blue Jays win. Imagine the payout on that. Like that was an incredible sports day. The Leafs win in OT, and Vladimir Guerrero has been out of this world. For as much flack as that guy took for his contract, it's amazing what's worked out and what's happened with this team. But anyways, a weekend in Italy. What do you have planned, bud?
We're just going out for some dinner tonight, waiting for the shops to open. Tomorrow we're doing the whole Vatican thing. I'm going to try not to be annoyed by the whole look at this bullshit, but it's going to be probably
overrated.
Impressive.
Sorry to tell you.
Hell.
Yeah. It's overrated.
Yeah, but,
sorry to tell you that, but yeah.
Say what?
The Vatican tour is overrated as hell, but
it's kind of what I thought. I mean, we were looking at different tours. It's like $700 US. I look at my wife. I'm like, not a friggin' chance. There's a couple things I'll see if we need to, but everything I've seen has been so bloody impressive. So we'll get inside the gates and check it out. And again, I'm sure I'm just gonna be shaking my head at just the opulence and money that comes to this goddamn thing that's supposed to be about certain things and doesn't seem to be at all. But then we're gonna hop in a car, get out of Rome, go down to Siena, do some Tuscany countryside dwelling, and really try to find some authentic Italian stuff. Pretty excited for this Jays game. And I don't even know what day it is or when I'm going to sleep or what's going to be happening, but good chance I'll be up to check out a bit of this Jays game.
Yeah, keep riding that momentum. By the way, I've got an objective for you. Go to the Sistine Chapel, pull out your camera, and take selfies left and right and see what happens, okay?
Oh, really? No bueno.
Yeah. You're technically not allowed to do it, but everybody tries to sneak in a picture. If you look around, everybody's like, oh, I don't know, it's some sacred thing in the church. But yeah, enjoy that. I love Italy too. Like they pride themselves in their siestas. I think it's like 5 to 8. Everything shuts down, which I think is awesome. They go for naps. They eat like at 11 o'clock there. It's wild stuff, but great stuff. I know I talked about yesterday. You wouldn't be here today. It's Monday. Rosie's not going to be here. So you're going to be back in the mix on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, again, I'll be out in the country, so Wi-Fi connection, fingers crossed. I was curious about this place, but it is firing, all good. I figured I'd do it on Friday. Get chance to get things set up for Monday, but hopefully there's lots to talk about on Tuesday, and I'm back with a red-hot connection to continue on this Leafs Morning Take journey we're on, my man.
Yes, sir. And Tuesday, we're going to preview Leafs and Devils. Sheldon Keefe making another return to Scotiabank Arena coming up on Monday. Dave Pagnotta is going to be alongside. We're going to recap the Seattle game and look ahead to another week for your Toronto Maple Leafs. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Thank you to Linda Cohn of ESPN for dropping by the show. For producer Vic and Jay Rosell, I'm Nick Alberga. Have a great weekend, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosell. We simply have it all. And don't forget, You can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.